So, welcome to the Executive Room podcast. Today we have Shawn Springs with us from WindPact. Thank you so much, Shawn, for joining. I've been really looking forward to this. I'd love to start out just by hearing a bit about your journey and where you are with WindPact today. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's important, and thank you for having me on this podcast. You've been excellent for over years of knowing you. I think for me, I need to back it up for the listeners because my journey is a little unique to becoming a tech executive. Most people who know me as Shawn Springs, they think of me as a 13-year NFL veteran where I played for a long time in the National Football League for the Seattle Seahawks, Washington Commanders today, and the Patriots. So part of what I explain to people, my journey and how I became a CEO for and doing technology at WindPact. And WindPact is we're technology and company that produce software for around manufacturing and innovation and stuff that we license and sell. And people, the question, Kimberly, is always, how did you go from playing football to dealing with, engineers, technologies, data, digital manufacturing, innovation, and all those different things? And the story really ties in well because when I was drafted, Kimberly, I was drafted to the Seattle Seahawks. And this was 1997. I was being drafted, going to school at the Ohio State in the Midwest. I had no idea, any understanding of what was out in Seattle. But at the time, it was an interesting time for the team because they were up for sale and they were being bought by a guy named Paul Allen, right? Most people know Paul Allen because he's the founder of Microsoft. But I think a lot of people forget that Mr. Allen owns the Seattle Seahawks as well as the Portland Trail Blazers. And he was attempting to buy, in which he eventually bought the Seahawks. And I was a draft pick. And basically, a week later after being drafted, Kimberly, they flew me back out to Seattle, and they said, "Hey, you have to ride around with Mr. Allen because he needs another $200 million for the voters and taxpayers of King County to pay for this new stadium that they're going to build once he buys the team." And I fly back out, drive around to little towns in King County, Bellevue, Washington, Redmond, all these places. And Mr. Allen is giving his spiel on how he was going to change the culture of the team, bring in these exciting new players, build a new stadium, and make Seattle a prominent sports town, and through all the great things that he was able to do over the years that we found out, right? And that right there just kind of blew my mind because I was just like, man, the technology, what is going on in the world? And I remember riding with Mr. Allen. I said, "Mr. Allen, did you know you were going to be a billionaire?" Right? At this time, it's not like today where there's a billionaire on every corner in the Bay Area or Seattle or Boston, New York, somewhere. It was just, Bill Gates, Paul Allen, right? Founders of Microsoft. And and he just said, "Shawn, it wasn't about when me and Bill founded Microsoft. It wasn't about really making money. It was about their term today would be disruptive. It was about how do we make something unique and different to change the World Wide Web at the time, right?" And that's when Microsoft was founded, and he became a billionaire. And that just kind of inspired me to look around and see what was going on in Seattle. And I just opened my eyes to a whole new world. Growing up on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., going to school in the Midwest at The Ohio State University, Seattle was a whole new world and really got me excited about the technology, which led me to become the founder and CEO of WindPact.
Amazing story. I know I heard it before, Shawn, but I really like listening to it again and again. I think it's super inspiring overall. So, can you tell us a little bit more about, take us back to the beginning. Were you
Okay.
already thinking about starting a company when you were in the NFL. And do you have any advice for other people that may be professional athletes? Because as you said, you have a super unique path where
Mhm.
you've gone from professional athlete to a leading CEO. Any
Mhm.
insights there?
Yeah, well, I will say being in Seattle at the time at 21 years old, 19 or 20, 21, 22 years old, 1997, Seattle, I lived in Seattle and it was weird because Microsoft was creating a millionaire every 12 days. People were going to work for this company that sold books online. And I was like, man, well, just go to Borders. I have friends who were going to sell books online. That company became Amazon. And then I had another girl, she lived in my neighborhood and she was going around starting these or opening up these franchises selling $3 coffee and water, right? That was Starbucks. So it was a unique time in Seattle. And my father had always told me to make relationships while I'm in the NFL with those who want to, meet me and know me. So I would in my suite, I've had bank presidents or people who were doing exciting new stuff and different things and people in the community. And I was pretty involved in the community of Seattle where I, was pretty popular and knew people. So I just wanted to learn. And I knew that football was always a stepping stone because your body only can take, playing in the NFL for so many years. I think the average lifespan for players 3 to 4 years. So I knew that it was important to me while I had that platform to be able to connect with other leaders, people I wanted to learn from, people who wanted to meet me. And I was just learning from them as well. So for my first thing to tell people, you may be in your current situation, job or career, and you have this burning itch to do your own thing, the burning desire to go out and do your own um, endeavor. Some of us just are natural entrepreneurs. And I would tell you, while you're in your current career, to just start to think about those relationships, think about those opportunities and people who can help you on your journey when you decide to make that leap. Far as just professional athletes and people, and I wouldn't even limit it to like professional athletes because I think it's becoming more and more popular. You're starting to see guys like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and others go into the venture world, startups, more and more athletes. Because at this point, everyone sees the excitement of the Ubers of the world, Slacks and all these other amazing technology companies that have come up out of Silicon Valley or Seattle or Boston or New York or wherever they come from. Everybody knows the unicorn dream. So I think more people are excited to go into the entrepreneurial world. So I would just tell young athletes or young people who play sports, your sport that you play doesn't necessarily define you as that's you're just limited to that. So I would encourage people, even if you're not an athlete, you could be a fireman, you could be a doctor, you could be a nurse. I can tell you a great story about a lady named Cherie Kloss who founded Snap Nurse, which, was the fastest growing company in the United States last year. But, she was an anesthesiologist and went to USC for film school, right? So you're starting to see more and more people have that spirit of entrepreneurial. And I've just encouraged people to continue to believe in that dream, leverage your network, ask questions, have a humble curiosity, and just go for it when the time is right.
Amazing advice. And seeing also you online, I read a quote of how you said that networking is super important, and you were just talking about it now. And you are really charismatic.
Mhm.
Is that something that always came naturally to you? Was it always easy for you to network? Or do you have any tips as well for other CEOs who may not be naturally as charismatic as you are?
I don't know if charismatic is a good word. I like to think of people, most people, I would characterize myself as almost like an ambivert, right? Uh, Personally, I see myself as an introvert, and I like being home in my personal space, and I'm an introvert. And then because of my career and because of the fame or status that I've created through sports, I get asked to be in the community, be out in public, in the public eye. So over the years, I've developed um, the ability to be, I guess the words you use is charismatic. So with that being said, I think you can be shy, but understand that your job or your life or your career may call for you to develop these relationships, develop these networks, to step outside of your comfort zone, you know, and reach out to those folks, or not be afraid to ask questions or go up and talk to others that you be like, why would they, you're always thinking, why would they talk to me? Right. Well, they're going to talk to you. And I even had that at Shawn Springs, like as a football player, sometimes former NFL player, when people wanted to meet me, I'd be like, why would the president of Verizon or the CEO of Ford or the VP of like Boeing want to hang with me, right? Even then I felt that I didn't have anything to offer. But what you realize, we all have something to offer, and we all have valuable information to share with others. And I think if we keep that perspective in mind, that we all can contribute, we all can provide a service, we all have something to share, I think that'll help you overcome your fear of like me going out and talk to other CEOs and people and leaders that's out there in the business world. I hope that made sense, and I hope that clarified everything.
That made perfect sense. I think that's also something I think other people will find really comforting, because perhaps if somebody sees you on TV or somewhere else, automatically going to think that, you're super extroverted, and just by you sharing some of those insights, I think it can help other people see as well that, you can really be or adapt to whatever you need to in that moment in order to be successful. And just going off of that a little bit more, when you were in the NFL, did you ever receive training or anything like that to speak to the media? How have you become, so great at speaking? You were on a TED Talk, you've had many public speaking engagements. Seems like you're talking to people all of the time. So how have you really developed those skills over the years?
One, I would say it started back at Ohio State. It's a national platform, being able to play at a university like the Ohio State, where it's a very recognizable brand. You could be anywhere in the world, you're going to see the Block O. So one of the things that helped, even at 18, 19 years old, we had national reporters, whether it was USA Today, Sports Illustrated, ESPN. We have always had that national spotlight. But even before that, I think with my father being a professional football player, I understood the media aspect of, because I was around it, right? Little kid in the locker room of the Dallas Cowboys. Most people, older listeners may or may not know, my father played 9 years in the NFL. So I was kind of like in a locker room around the Dallas Cowboys, which is America's team. So I got to see, how celebrities are. And so I wasn't unfamiliar, or I understood that media and was a part of, if you go to Ohio State, you can get media attention. You go in the NFL. So how I got better is just practice, right? Just taking time to be as a person, whether I'm talking to the media, whether I'm talking to my team, or whether I'm talking to kids in the community or in sports, just being thoughtful about what you say. Obviously it becomes easier over time as you do it more and more, right? I can talk football all day. I played, been playing since I was 8, so it's nothing about the game of football or NFL or college football I haven't experienced. So that becomes pretty easy. When I got into the business world, And obviously I went to school for business marketing, but I got my degree in sociology. But when I got in the business world, that's a new experience for me. I'm talking to people who had many years of experience. I was a rookie when it came over to just in the business world. I wouldn't say I was necessarily a rookie business because I worked with Nike. I was a Nike athlete. I did promotional things for Whole Foods. I've had all type of sponsorship deals. I was the spokesperson for Verizon Literacy Reads. So I would say that I worked with major corporations and worked with businesses, but being an operator, owner, founder of a startup, that was new, and I was a rookie in that perspective. So I needed to get coaching and learn from executives who I would say have so much more experience than me, or leaders, or just learning from my team. You don't have to be a CEO. Like, the greatest lesson that I've learned while being a founder or CEO leader is you don't have all the answers, and you should listen to people much smarter than you. And that's where I think a lot of people get stuck, thinking that just because you're the CEO that you're top of the food chain. Actually, you're the bottom of the food chain, and your job is to support the rest of the organization and give them every ability to be able to, every resource to be able to execute. So I think of the pyramid as a reverse. Those listeners out there, think of it as a reverse pyramid. And the higher you move up in your title, the more responsibility or things that's on your shoulder to support the organization, to other people succeed. And that's just being, from football, I guess we would say that's like being a good team member, right? Being a good partner, if that makes sense.
Well, it sounds like you were able to apply the best things from football into the business world, just talking about the team. And I really loved the analogy of the reverse pyramid. It reminds me of what a lot of leaders say about, not being the smartest person in the room or always having super smart people around you. Thinking
Yep.
about the pyramid, that reminds me of that. So, speaking a little bit more now about business, what are
Yep.
you excited about next, or what's happening next at WindPact that you can share with us?
Well, I think the thing, that I'm excited about WindPact is we started off as an ingredient technology where we built padding solutions for impact protection. The why was to save the brain of the next generation athlete, right? I saw the effects of, football that had on my father and his friends. I wanted to make sure that, me and my colleagues, we were retired at the time when I started WindPact, but that was scary to see, some of the guys and these warriors and heroes that I looked up to, not understanding how to get home, and moving around pretty slow, or just all the effects of traumatic brain injuries from years of playing football. I wanted to build a solution for the next generation of athlete, those who love to play sports, and the sports is not just limited to football, ride bikes, baseball, equestrian, cricket, all the sports around the world, anything that deals with impact protection. We work in automotive at WindPact, but it started off with that why I wanted to make sports safe for the next generation. When COVID hit, honestly, I don't know if other people out there listening, but it's one of those situations where I was just like, oh my God, I gotta shut my company down. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna push forward? How am I going to make it? Because this world that we're living in, as Mother COVID affected every industry that you could think about, and particularly sports. Nobody was out playing sports. Only thing that we had that was kind of going in a positive light, automotive was still doing a little bit of development, and we had a military contract because obviously the seriousness of impact protection for our soldiers or soldiers around the world. It's still needed, unfortunately, with wars and circumstances that's going on. That's still needed. So I didn't know how it was going to go forward. So we started thinking about other ways or other avenues that we could create revenue to stay alive. And we started developing software, and that software was around digital manufacturing. That software is around how we could look at new innovative solutions through 3D printing, whether that was, 3D printing, bicycle helmet liners or anything. And that software gave our clients and customers ability to quote faster. How much did this part cost? If I was going to build 10,000 parts, how long would it take? So that software as an internal tool, and us being the first customer, became today, I think I would say the child is going to become the superstar, right? It's going to become the path forward for our investors and the real opportunity, because I'm really excited about it, because you hear about manufacturing, and obviously COVID affects supply chains. We have unfortunate circumstances in between Ukraine and China, and people are talking about potential war between Ukraine and Russia, and potential war between China and Taiwan. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we still are living in a day and age where supply chains and manufacturing can be affected. And I'm excited about digital manufacturing, meaning software applied to manufacturing. I'm excited about where we're going as a country around manufacturing and innovation. You see Intel put a $20 billion plant in Columbus, Ohio. That means that's big for the state of Ohio, right in Columbus, so you get the students of Ohio State. So that's pretty exciting. You see companies like Joby move from, who does electric, drones and stuff to Dayton, Ohio. But I'm excited about the innovation and where we're going, and we want to be a part of that software, those technology that's leading the next innovation in digital manufacturing. So I'm excited about manufacturing coming back here to the United States. I'm excited about innovation. I get pretty pumped up about it. I know it's hard to believe. People ask me this question all the time. You're more excited about this than watching the Super Bowl. Yes, that is true.
I think it's a good time to be excited about it too, because everything you said, it seems like we are in a time where the government is also doing a lot of initiatives to bring things back into the United States. Have you, witnessed that as well? Or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. You see the Bidenomics, and you just excited because you start to see growing. I would say not growing up, but being part of Ohio State, and my second home being in the Midwest, and then, one of my other homes being in Seattle. So I understand the importance of how technology has changed already, like the banking world, right? FinTech and all that stuff. And now seeing the integration of Internet of Things, robotics, 3D printing, manufacturing, sensor technology, seeing that and the way it's changing and how things are going to be produced, invented faster and stuff. It's just, I'm seeing it all in the Midwest. You see cities like Pittsburgh, you're going to see Youngstown, Detroit, revitalization of places like Detroit. And manufacturing, not like how people think, like people out there probably listening thinking it's like these huge facilities, right? It's like, you can have a manufacturing in your neighborhood and not even know it, because now things are being produced in a box or 3D printed, right? I see a world where, robotics and, these dark factories, it's just, I'm seeing it, and I think everybody in our country will see it more over the next 2 years. I suspect by 2025 that everybody's gonna be like, I heard it was coming, but with AI accelerating everything, they're gonna be like, oh my goodness, like it is here, right? Automation, drones everywhere, robotics, it's coming.
Definitely. We've seen it in marketing.
Yep.
alone in marketing. We've seen it a lot, so I can only imagine how much in manufacturing and everything you just mentioned. So thank you for sharing all of that. And I'm sure it sparked a lot of curiosity for the listeners. And to
Mhm.
end, Shawn, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your upcoming Smithsonian feature that, we've spoken about in the past, but it
Yeah.
sounds amazing. So could you share a little bit more with us about that?
Kimberly, you know I'm shy about all this stuff. You love make me feel like I'm bragging on myself. Oh no. Yes. Next year, 2024, March of 2024, I'm going into the Smith American History Museum, the Smithsonian, for innovation, sports technology. I'm going in with the people who made sports bra and stuff like that. And it's a nice exhibit. I think there's four of us. There's four key features of innovators. And be honest with you, in my wildest dreams, growing up in the Washington, D.C. area, taking all the field trips to the Smithsonian's downtown, I never thought that my life would lead me to be considered an innovator, right? I pinch myself sometimes. I'm in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Museum. So if you guys are here in Washington, D.C., you go over to Alexandria to U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, you'll see a picture of me in there above the lady who created the messenger RNA. It's mind blowing to me, Kimberly, that I've been able to be recognized for changing the game, trying to save lives for the next generation of military soldiers, athletes, which everyone is an athlete, or sports in part of everyone's life, So at some point, I think everybody's either rode a bike or, done something. So that's what it's about. I look at this exhibit and this award as, you know, part of what I believe in is an example of what I believe in is we all are here to provide a service to others. So hopefully when this award of me being recognized in the Smithsonian inspires people to want to create change and innovate and provide a service to others. And I'm so thankful that it'll be in there for, I think, exhibit maybe 7 to 10 years. And it's all about, inspiring the next generation of innovators. I am thankful that I have the opportunity to go into it. Everybody should go check out, if you are ever in Washington, D.C., go to the American History Museum and check out the exhibit. And it'll be cool starting in March, spring of next year.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Shawn. I know I'll be sure to check it out. I was at the Smithsonian last year, but I was remembering that it was too early because I
Yeah.
remember it said not 2022. So I will
It's
have to
funny.
go back to see it.
Yeah, let's push back a little bit. You got to come in, and I would love to have you here in March at my the VIP stuff, Kimberly. You're great.
Well, we will connect about that for sure. So thank you again so much, Shawn, for being on the show, for sharing all of your insights about business, about your journey from the NFL, and for really showing us all how you are an amazing vocal leader. So thank you again.
Thank you.